Hi, my name's Kathy Halber. I'm a volunteer with ADRC in Rusk County. And for this month's extra special beneficial bite, we're going to talk about wild rice. And with us again, luckily, is our friend Bob Hauser. And we're actually in the peak of wild rice harvest time. And Bob is a hobby harvest wild rice. And he's going to explain to us how that works and what that means. So first of all, usually late August, early September is when is the harvest time?
Yep, normally I have, the rice is normally ready about the end of August through the first week of September. So, and that depends, fluctuates a little bit about on earlier weather patterns, things like that. It might run a little bit earlier or a little bit later.
Okay, and to harvest wild rice, we need to get a permit, right?
That's correct. There's a wild rice harvester's permit that you can get through your Go Wild account or at any one of the licensed vendors.
Okay, and then you mentioned too that Glyphwick has some good information on their website on when's a good time.
That's correct. A lot of the lakes that typically have wild rice will have surveys done on them, and you can go to the Glyphwick website. It'll rate the lakes as far as, you know, average, good, poor, whatever the crop is that year. They'll talk a little bit about different diseases and how that may affect the rice crop on that given water body for the year.
Okay, so tell us what we're looking for and what we would do. We need a canoe, right?
Yep, absolutely, a canoe. You know, there's a certain, if you get the regulations book, there's certain like widths and dimensions that you can't exceed with your canoe. But I have a pair of paddles in mine. I also have a push pole here that I'll use for when the rice gets really thick.
Okay.
Sometimes it'll be, you know, way over your head when you're harvesting it, just depending on where you're at in the lake, and you know, and it may vary by lake too. But sometimes you can't paddle through it; you have to push pole through it.
Okay.
You'll need your life preservers, that type of stuff. Typically, you want to make sure that your canoe is as clean as possible before you start. That'll limit the, you know, little bits of gravel and dirt and things like that. So I usually wash mine out and make sure it's good and dry before I start ricing. You'll need a pair of ricing sticks. Mine I made many years ago out of a white cedar, which was one of the traditional woods that was used for gathering wild rice. But wild rice will ripen at different times. So you can go through an area, you'll take that wild rice, we'll have one person in the front of the canoe sitting down in the seat, and you'll, as you're being push-pulled or canoed forward, you'll reach out and bring that rice over the canoe, and then you'll knock it with this stick. You'll switch hands, bring that side over and knock it. And that rice, you can go through and, you know, knock the same area multiple times, because every day there's going to be more of that grain that's ripening and ready to fall.
Okay, and this is, you have a better one there.
This here would be an example of a wild rice head here that came off in the harvesting process. All these would be different grains of wild rice. This one just happened to break off. So, and that'll be anywhere from, you know, it'll be way over your head in cases. So. Okay,
and so then this is your bounty, right?
This would be the raw product. I've picked the weeds and extra things out of it, but I've just got mine out here. It's air drying right now. It's going to be a few days before I take mine to the person that processes it for me. But it has a hull around it that will be taken off during the processing, and you'll be left with that grain there, nice and green. And there's about 50, maybe a little bit more percentage you will lose just to water weight. It's a very wet product. But for the processing part of it, it'll go through a multi-step process. It gets roasted first, where it'll be dried down, and then it'll go through a thrashing process where these hulls are put in a bin or a barrel with an agitator, and they actually rub together, and it will loosen those hulls. And then the rice will be cleaned. The person that I go to has a dust collector set up to his thrasher, where as those hulls become loosened, they're actually sucked off the wild rice. Then you're left, when it's done, it's just a clean finished product. Do you have the...
I do.
The finished wild rice there? Okay.
And this is some that you did last year.
Yep. And that'll be what it looks like when it's done all nice and clean. And No debris, no hulls, no dirt left on it. It'll
Yeah.
store a long time as long as you keep it dry.
Yeah, nice long pieces. A lot different than your good old minute rice. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
It definitely takes longer to cook, has its own unique flavor to it, and it's one of those things that we can go out and, you know, spend some time and definitely harvest. It's good for you, very nutritional, very unique flavors, and depending on where you go, the rice will look different. There might be long grains, short grains, depending on the body of water that you're going to. So not all rice is the same. It's actually quite unique.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Well, this is great. Thanks, Bob. We really
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
it. All right. So I have the wild rice that I got from Bob, and I took it and I just cooked it up. So for our recipe today or this month, it comes from New Native Kitchen, which is a cookbook that's available just right here at the library in Ladysmith. So I took Bob's rice and I cooked it up in a little bit of chicken stock with some thyme and salt and pepper and a little onion. So I cooked that up, and now we're going to make a salad out of it, a nice salad. So the recipe that's in New Native Kitchen, we don't want quite that much, so as usual I'm going to make a smaller portion of the recipe. So today we're going to make a quarter. So I have 1 cup of the rice, and to that, this is a really nice fall salad. So since we have a quarter instead of a half a cup, I have 2 tablespoons of carrots. So I just have these chopped into small pieces. And then I have 1 tablespoon of, so the recipe calls for cranberries, which would be good, but I didn't have any cranberries. So today we're going to use some dried cherries that we got up in Door County. So either cherries or dried cranberries or both would be good too. It's a very versatile recipe. And then we want some scallions or leeks. I have some fresh leeks here. So I have 2 tablespoons of leeks that I'm going to add. And then some kind of nut. So today I'm going to use pumpkin seeds. You could use pecans or pine nuts. So we're going to add that in. And then I have some kale, some chopped up kale. And then this vinaigrette here is a little olive oil and vinegar, apple cider vinegar at a 2-to-1 ratio, and then honey, some of the honey from Derek in here. So we're just going to swirl this up, put that on there, and then a little salt and pepper. And then we're going to stir that up. And what a yummy, pretty salad that is. So it's a nice fall salad. Tonight we're going to have a little roasted chicken, and that's going to go great with that. Wild rice is very nutritious. So it's very important for indigenous people. Not only is it good for us, it's very, very good ecologically for the water bodies, for wildlife. Waterfowl. And we're lucky here because this is one of the best places to get it. This is where it grows. It's one of the best habitats for it. So please try it. This is a really nice brochure on wild rice, why it's important. It's available at the Historical Museum when you go there. And all throughout the month of November, we're celebrating Native American Heritage Month. So you'll find foods to sample through the meal program. You'll find information at the Historical Museum, the Senior Center, and the library. And we hope that you enjoy this first effort at our cultural events. And we're going to have more to follow coming up in the year. So if you have any that you're interested in, please let us know, and please try this yummy wild rice salad. All right, thanks. We'll talk to you soon.